Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to have you here. I want to start off by announcing some exciting news about the Sullivan Arena. The municipality has come to an agreement with the operator or with an operator to run and return the Sullivan Arena to what it was actually created for. The Sullivan Arena will again be used to showcase entertainment events and sporting functions the people of Anchorage and Alaska need. Excuse me. The operator, O'Malley Ice and Sports, headed by Steve Agnew, is currently running the Ben Boeke and Dempsey buildings. After a year of operation, we have seen the level of revenue from those buildings come back to 2017 and 2018 levels. That is a really good thing for our city. Now, under the agreement, O'Malley Ice and Sports will pay the municipality to use the Sullivan Arena and create more of a revenue stream for the city. General Manager John Stengham is here today from O'Malley Ice and Sports, and he has a proven track record in growing operations. So I'm excited to be able to get the Sullivan back to what it was intended for, back to something that is good for all of us. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to John for his comments.
Morning. Here to represent O'Malley Ice and share with the community. We're very excited at this opportunity that's presented itself to us. We've been inside the building doing some preliminary groundwork. Things are looking really good, and we're very excited to bring that iconic building back to the community. Thank you.
And I guess with that, we'll open up to questions. Emily?
How far along are you in repairs? I know that there was some repairs needed to the arena, that there was an issue with water coming to the bathrooms, at least back in end of April, May.
Right. John, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I was in the building over the weekend. It seems that the water has been repaired. Plumbers were in and out all weekend long working on the restroom facilities. She's looking really good, and we're very optimistic. November 1st, roughly.
Yep. How much is it going to cost, and who's going to be paying for it?
The capital improvements will be done by the municipality. There is a capital reserve account that will be used to do those types of improvements. Otherwise, there are different aspects that both entities will be responsible for contributing.
And I'd just like to clarify, to add on to this, Emily, I was in there that last week. We've had our team, M&O, in there, and certainly John and his team has been in there. This building is in remarkably good shape. It's in actually very good shape. We're working on contracts to get the side or the parking lot striped and get some glass repaired. But the building is in very good shape, and for that we're very happy.
So last week you clarified that the Sullivan wouldn't be used for homelessness shelter, and now that you're revamping it, I'm curious what steps are being taken to ensure that there is shelter available for the winter. I know that the Assembly is set to vote on some navigation center funding next month. Is that kind of the plan for the winter? Or?
Well, the plan, we were told this morning, and I directed it quite a while ago. The health department will come up. We're required by code to have a cold weather shelter plan. That will be announced, I think, next week. That plan won't include the Sullivan Arena. We're announcing here today, that building's going to get back into normal operations.
Right. I was just curious, if there's any sort of preliminary idea of what will be a shelter, since the Sullivan's off the table, but it had been the shelter for.
Until I see the plan by the Housing and Homeless Coordinator for cold weather sheltering, I don't know.
Can you discuss sort of what you touched upon, like water, were sort of the issues at the Sullivan that need repair? Can you touch upon other parts that are in heavy need of renovation over there at the Sullivan?
There's nothing that needs heavy renovation. John can get into a lot of the detail, but the 12-inch water main that came in, there was a question on that. That was evaluated, I think, Thursday, as I recall, and that's resolved. That's fine. Some of the lighting, the stadium lighting, is old technology, ballast kind of lighting, not LED, some of it. John could probably give you the numbers. I was in there last week and we tested it, and some of the lights need replacing. For not all events need stadium lighting. Scoreboard's good. Sound system is 1980s sound system. So when we get back to rock concerts and country western concerts, I think we'll have to deal with that. But it's a process, and over time we'll get it back up to normal. And that's the objective here today, is to announce that we're getting that building back into normal operations.
The city has continued to see a record number of outdoor deaths this summer.
Right, 29.
Yeah, 29 so far this year. What is your response to that? And what's your plan for doing something about it?
Well, the plan is what will be the cold weather shelter plan, because as bad as, I think 15 of the 29 deaths happened since the Sullivan Arena closed in May. Those aren't cold weather deaths. Those are deaths caused by, and I have the police reports. I have 25 of the 29 police reports that I've read on this. The deaths are caused by, not just exposure. So we need a shelter. I've said it for over 2 years that we need a large shelter to house these people. We don't have one. Just to remind everyone here, in the last 3 years, we've spent $161 million on homelessness in the city, and we've done some really good things in our partnerships with our P3s, our public-private partnerships like Rasmussen and Providence and Salvation Army. We've done some really good things with those groups. But we do not have a shelter. We need a shelter. And we'll see what the cold weather sheltering plan that comes out has to say.
Can you give us a sense of what generally some of the causes of death are, non-exposure?
A lot of it's drug related, alcohol abuse, fentanyl. We suspect, the indicators are, it looks like fentanyl, So yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, and winter is going to add to that unless, quite frankly, the assembly comes up with a shelter.
The LA Times had responded to your press conference last week about flight tickets.
Right.
I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's sad that we've got to get to that, but desperate times call, unfortunately, for desperate measures. It's sad that we have to do that. It's sad that we don't have a shelter to protect these people in. However, I have to look at the end game as a public servant. My job is to protect life. That's my first and highest calling. That's why public safety, police, and fire are so important to me. In as brutal as it sounds, they're better off living on the street in a warm climate than they are dying on the street of Anchorage by exposure. I was in Chancellor Park last week. I was talking to a lady, and I do this. I spend a lot of time in the camps, and I ask question, what are you going to do when there's in the wintertime? And she said, well, I guess I'll go back to the Sullivan. And I says, well, if you can't go to the Sullivan, what's your next choice? And she says, I'll go back to Western Alaska, and I have family there. And I says, well, that's good. You got a place to go. And she says, I just want you to know, Mr. Mayor, that this last winter, my youngest sister froze to death on the streets of Anchorage. And that in and of itself is a tragedy. But is what I think that really bothered me as much as anything was the fact that she said it like she assumed it was kind of normal. And the fact that someone in this state gets to the point where it's normal that someone can freeze to death on our streets in the 21st century in Anchorage, Alaska, take it for what it's worth. That's a tragedy in and of itself, that we assume that can be okay somehow.
Do you have events booked yet at the Sullivan Arena, and what can residents expect?
We have reached out to some groups, waiting for the building to be operational. We've not made any commitments at this point, but pay attention for the next 10 days. I'm sure you'll see some very positive results.
I'm sorry, sir. If you already answered this, I apologize. But at 30 Ingra, there was a post by the Third Radical group, that Third Avenue Radicals,
Yeah.
that there have been some fires at homeless camps. Are you aware of those? And is there anything your administration is looking at to kind of curb those from happening? Because even though some of them are small, there is the concern that one could get out of hand and spread to a neighborhood. So are you aware of it?
Yeah, one of the leaders of the Third Street Radicals, I think might be a marketing failure in that name, but they're very rational people, good group of people. Rob Couples, I think, is one of the leaders there. In fact, I know he is. He sends me photos. He and I text a lot. And so I'm aware. I notify the municipal manager. And in 30 hours, we had at one, I think we're up to our fourth fire, but we had 3 in 30 hours. That was problematic. There's this notion that somebody in the camp is a bit of an arsonist. Is what I'm saying is that the municipal manager has the fire department on this, and I believe that there's probably the fire inspector is looking at this. So that's about all I can say.
Would you happen to know, like, if in those camps, if any kind of open burn is prohibited, especially like on 30 Ingram?
Well, you're not allowed to have fires on public property. That goes without saying, I guess. The fact that they start fires when we have no one there yet is a problem. It's an enforcement problem. We have our great people from Parks and Recs. Healthy Spaces team is what it's called. I meet, in fact, last week they were up here we had them all up here for about 15 of them for pizza. It was my really small way of saying thank you for the unbelievably difficult work that they have to engage in every single day. They're a great group of people. They're volunteers for that duty. And if they're not there to supervise that, then we don't know about it until someone else notifies us. But we hope to have a security contract on that site soon. Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious whether or not you had received the report from the ombudsman on the election challenge brought by Cindy Graham and the IT director's involvement. Whether your administration has received that report from the ombudsman, and if not, when you expect to receive it.
I did receive it. I read it. I can't remember which day, but it was last week.
Okay. Is Mark Dahl still the IT director? Is he still employed by the municipality?
That's a decision that I can't comment on right now. He works for the municipal manager, and we'll come to a decision on that here. He and I probably shortly. Yeah, this bringing the Sullivan Arena back online. I hope everyone is excited about that as I am. We need to get back to normal. Normal is, I think, grossly underrated. I like normal. We need to turn our buildings, our public buildings. We own about 164 buildings, and quite frankly, they all have to accomplish something. They can't be there empty. I think it's about $350,000 a year just to keep the heat and lights on in the Sullivan Arena, whether it does nothing or something. My goal here today is to announce that it's actually going to do something. It's going to provide revenue for for the city, just like the Bokie and the Dempsey do, and that helps to alleviate the tax burden on the property taxpayers, because someone has to pay that to keep that building open, and now the users of it are going to pay that, and we're really excited about that. And I can't wait till we get a rock concert or some big event in there, and that I think that'll happen sooner than we think. Anything else, Emily? Anyone else? Wes, Ian? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.